Hello, fellow food lovers. Today I will be making pork, lotus root, and wood ear fungus stir fry. You will need half a pound of pork, two medium lotus root bulbs, and half a cup of dried wood ear fungus. For the sauce, you're going to need 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 1 tablespoon oyster sauce, 1 teaspoon sugar, 1 teaspoon chicken powder, 1 tablespoon fresh ginger, and 1 tablespoon cornstarch. For the pork marinade, you will need Chinese white pepper, Chinese cooking wine, soy sauce, sesame oil, and cooking oil. Okay, so the wood ear fungus comes dried in a package like that. So you need to soak it in water overnight, but best is 24 hours. So you would take the wood ear fungus, and then you would just put in a bowl and fill it with tap water and just let it soak overnight. And then it should be tender. Sometimes the center part has hard bits that you might have to cut out. But for the most part, you can just leave it as is. So I have thin slices of thin slices of pork. I marinated it in a baking soda solution overnight to tenderize it. So I'm rinsing the meat under tap water to wash the baking soda out. If you leave it in when you cook it, it's going to give the pork a bitter taste. So I'm going to marinate it now. I'm going to give it a dash of Chinese white pepper powder. I'm going to give it a dash of Chinese cooking wine. A dash of soy sauce. A dash of sesame oil. And some cooking oil just to make it smooth. So I'm going to massage the sauce into the meat with my fingers. You could also use a chopstick to do that, or a spoon. Okay, so I have a knob of ginger. I'm going to cut the skin off it. And I'm going to give it a really fine mince. A lot of Chinese vegetarian dishes are Buddhist in origin, so they don't generally use spicy ingredients or garlic. It's kind of forbidden. So a lot of the Buddhist vegetarian dishes in China will use ginger as a flavoring ingredient instead of garlic. Okay, so I've got 2 medium bulbs of lotus root. So I'm going to peel them using a vegetable peeler. And then I'm going to cut the ends off as well. Okay, so once the ends are cut off, I'm going to slice the lotus root into thin slices. If you cut it thinner, then it will cook faster. And it's easier to eat when it's cut thin as opposed to thick slices. So I'm going to do the same thing with the second lotus root bulb. I'm going to peel it with a vegetable peeler, cut the ends off, and then slice it into thin slices. Okay, that's the second one. Okay, so let's get cooking. So I got the wok on high heat. I just added 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. I'll give it a swirl so the oil covers the bottom of the wok. And then I'm going to add the pork and give it a quick stir fry. So I'm going to cook the pork maybe 50 to 60% done. And then the rest of it's going to be cooked with the veggies. So maybe 3-4 minutes have gone by. I've stirred it occasionally so that both sides get cooked. So now I'm going to take it out and set it aside. I'm going to wash the wok for the veggies. Okay, so it's a clean wok. It's on high heat. I've added 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. So I'm going to add the ginger. And give that a stir so the ginger flavors the oil. I'm going to add the woodier fungus. Try and pick the fungus out using your hands and dropping in the wok as opposed to just dumping the whole thing in, because you don't want a lot of the water that was in with the fungus to go into the wok. If you're trying to stir fry, you want it to be as dry as possible so that the oil can do its job. So you want to stir fry the fungus for a bit, give it a bit of a browning, maybe for 2 minutes or so. And then I'm going to add the lotus root. Stir that, bring the fungus up from the bottom, bring the lotus root down to the bottom, make sure that the lotus root gets a bit of browning before you add the water. You could stir fry this for another 3-4 minutes now. Kind of get everything mixed up. When they call it stir frying, it's because you're constantly stirring when you're when you're cooking this dish. You're constantly stirring when you're stir frying because you don't want to burn the bottom. If you leave it sitting for a while on high heat, it'll definitely burn. Okay, so after 3-4 minutes of frying, I'm going to add the water. So that's 1 cup of water. I'm going to stir that up. I'm going to add the seasonings. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. One teaspoon of sugar. One teaspoon of chicken powder. Okay, you want to stir that, mix the seasoning and sauces in with the water. So as you notice with a stir fry, you're actually coming in through the bottom and lifting it up so that the top part goes down to the bottom. Okay, so while it's cooking, I'm gonna make the cornstarch slurry. So I'm gonna take 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water to that, and I'm going to stir it so that the cornstarch is mixed into the water and it's totally dissolved. Okay, I'm going to add the pork now to the stir fry. Then I'm going to put the lid on there so that the steam can cook the veggies faster. So I'm going to have the lid on there for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. So with the lotus root, it needs to be cooked, but you can have it a little bit on the raw side so that it's a crispy vegetable when you eat it, or it could be well cooked as well so it's soft when you eat it. It's up to you what taste you prefer. I prefer it to be a little on the crispy side. But yeah, I had the lid on for about 4 or 5 minutes to cook it. Everything looks like it's totally done. So I took the lid off and I added the cornstarch slurry. Oh, so by the way, the pork and lotus root, it's a pretty common stir-fry dish in mainland China. You don't see it so much in Cantonese cooking, but it's very popular north of Canton for sure. So I turned the heat off and I'm kind of stirring it up so that the veggies and the pork are coated in the sauce. And I'm going to transfer it to the serving dish. This is a really nice dish to go with a family meal. Serves with a bunch of other dishes, especially when the lotus root is kind of a little bit on the raw side, a little bit crispy. It's really tasty that way. And lotus root goes really well with pork and with the wood ear fungus as well. The wood ear fungus is a little on the soft side, which really complements the crunchiness of the lotus root and the meatiness of the pork. Okay, so there you have it. That's pork, lotus root, and wood ear fungus stir fry in a ginger sauce. A very nice dish. Another great dish to eat with rice for sure. Okay, Bon appetit.